Yo, what's up, guys? We're back, and this week we're going to be doing the UFC on ESPN plus 10 post weigh-in breakdown. So we're just going to get started with the first fight with Julio Arce against Julian Erosa. And, not going to change my pick on this fight. Both guys made weight. I actually do have a play on Julio Arce inside the distance at plus 110. The guy's like minus 700. To be plus 110 on the money line and minus 700 is a little bit weird. So, you know, um, think that that's a good line. I just feel like Arce is the better striker. I feel like at some point he's probably going to be able to hurt Erosa, drop him, get a submission, and or get a finish by TKO. I just think that he's too smooth. Julian Erosa, I don't really know what to think of him. I just feel like he's long, he's dangerous, and he has decent head kicks, knees, and he just needs to go for it, try to get the knockout. But Arce is the much better boxer, the better athlete. I think he's the better wrestler. I think he has the better ground game, and yeah, I mean, I just think he's much better overall. I think that, obviously he's a big favorite for a reason. So, yeah, I got a bet on Julio Arce inside the distance plus 110, and yeah, I see no reason why to pick Julian Erosa there. Next with Trevin Giles against Zach Cummings. I see some back and forth on this fight. Some people are on Zach Cummings in this fight, but I'm pretty confident on Trevin Giles. I have that bet I placed on Trevin Giles earlier in the week. And, for this fight, I just feel like it's going to be a big speed disadvantage for Zach Cummings, a big athleticism disadvantage. And Giles is very athletic and he's a strong wrestler. And, I feel like his in and out movement, his jab, I mean, he has one of the best jabs I've seen in the UFC for 185. I mean, very good jab, very nice left hook, right hook combination. He'll attack the body, good 1-2s, good uppercuts. And, I just feel like he has good enough jujitsu, good enough wrestling to avoid being taken down because Cummins isn't a wrestler, guys. I mean, he hasn't attempted a takedown in his last 5 UFC fights. He usually gets takedowns off fighters shooting in on him where he can get a submission off of that. And I even heard him saying that on the interview that he had this week, like on an interview with MMA Junkie, I believe, where he was saying, "Oh, I have some nasty chokes when you shoot in on me," but didn't seem like he was saying like I could take you down and choke you out. So seems like he's kind of hoping that Trevin Giles is gonna shoot a takedown in on him, but I don't see that happening, man. I see Trevin Giles, busting up Cummins with the jab, piecing him up with the 1-2, starting to attack the body, and yeah, I think he's gonna be too fast, too good for Zach Cummins and get a knockout here. So I'm going with Trevin Giles to be the first guy ever to finish Zach Cummins. Then next with Patrick Cummings against Ed Herman. And man, I've been really thinking about putting a bet on Patrick Cummings, man, but I just can't get myself to do it. But I don't know. I feel like Cummings, he should win this fight. It's his fight to lose. His striking isn't good, but he's able to. I don't know. He's able to land his shots on some of these guys. I mean, even though it doesn't look like he's throwing hard, it doesn't look like he's setting these shots up very well. It seems like he can land his jab, land his left hook, his 1-2, and he does that roll through with his head movement, and then he'll come through with the straight right hand, then try to get for a takedown. And his defense on the feet is something that's very glaring. That's why I don't want to make this bet, just because Ed Herman does hit hard, and if he can land a big shot and hurt Pat Cummings or be able to deny the takedown attempts, I mean, who knows who'll win that fight? But we saw Patrick Cummings basically win a striking match against a guy like Gian Vellante, and I think like Vellante, um, he's a better striker than Ed Herman. Even though we just saw Ed Herman kind of go to a very close decision with Vellante as well on the feet, and you know Herman does have some submissions off his back, but I just don't think he's gonna be able to get even close to getting a submission off his back. And I think if Patrick Cummings gets a takedown, I just don't see Ed Herman being able to stand back up. I mean, we saw him against CB Dollaway when he fought CB. He's a smaller guy than Patrick Cummings. He's a career 185er. Um, and so is Ed Herman for that matter. But, CB was able to take him down, control him on the mat, hold him down. And Ed Herman was saying that he had an injury coming into that fight, so that was the reason why it looked so easy to take him down and control him on the mat. But to me, man, I mean, the guy's getting older, man. You could tell, just by the way he looks that I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that he shouldn't be fighting anymore because he's still competitive with these guys, but I don't think he's going to get very many more wins in the UFC. So I'm going with Patrick Cummings via decision in that fight and staying away from that one. Up next, Grant Dawson, Mike Trizano, and it's going to be another fight here I'm staying away from. Very close fight, See a lot of people that picked Mike Trizano to get the win here, and I could see why. Mike Trizano is a good fighter. He's some very, very technical. He has a nice jab, good leg kicks, keeps a high volume out there. He's good at kind of just touching you, then landing his bigger shots, and he's going to be someone that on the feet I feel like is really going to be able to keep a deliberate pace on Grant Dawson and just beat him up with shots to the body, the head, to the legs, and just kind of uh, give Dawson a lot of problems on the feet. But we've seen Trizano has a little bit of a problem being flat-footed, and fighters can close the distance on him with punches, with takedown attempts. He does have very good get-ups, good takedown defense, and he actually is, pretty good on top. He will switch position, get top position, go for ground and pound. He isn't a big submission guy; he only has one rear naked choke, but in this fight, he's gonna have to have his takedown defense on point and use those leg kicks, those straight punches. I really feel like those leg kicks and his jab will be very effective in this match, and I feel like he needs to try to counter the chokes with his guillotine. Don't dive on the guillotine, but just use it to stop the takedown attempt or make Grant Dawson go to his back where you can get on top. But if Trizano can use his leg kicks to hinder the movement of Dawson, make him a little less explosive on his entries, he'll most likely be able to win a fight with technical striking. But Grant Dawson, he's a guy who he isn't the best striker. I feel like he's very green on the feet, very open to being hit. He has a lot of wide entries into his shots. He seems like he has his hands low a lot, and he is fast. And he'll use his shots to set up his takedowns very well. So once he can actually land a few takedowns, then his shots become a lot more effective because it's hard to figure out exactly what he's trying to do in there. But if you could start to stop his takedowns, I feel like on the feet he just doesn't have what it takes to compete with a guy like Trizano. But I'm actually going to pick Grant Dawson. I just feel like the relentlessness, his grappling, he's going to be able to win the day for him. We saw guys like John Gunther, who's very low level guy, control Mike Trizano on the mat for a whole round. Luis Pena took his back, controlled him. So I feel like Grant Dawson does have that avenue to win the fight. And Trizano obviously has his avenue to win the fight as well. But I think Dawson will get his fair share of takedowns, have some minimal success on the feet after that. And I think he's going to be the one doing more, and I think he's going to have a little bit better cardio. So I'm going to go with Grant Dawson via split decision, but don't really, have a good read on that fight either way. Then I'm next with Danny Roberts and Michel Pereira. I actually have a play here on Danny Roberts, and Danny has been up and down in his career, but he's a crisp boxer. He's a very solid boxer. Good lateral movement, nice jab, left straight combination, good accuracy, nice check right hook, jab, overhand right. And he's a southpaw, so it's something that a lot of people don't really see. Good head kick as well. 6 knockouts in his career. He has a questionable chin. He has been finished twice, and that is what, in my opinion, if he loses, is gonna, fail him here. Is his chin. Pereira does have some long leaping shots. Obviously, he has those crazy techniques. So if Danny Roberts gets knocked out in this fight, I feel like that's his way to lose. But I feel like he's not a bad grappler. He's an underrated grappler. He showed that in his last fight, getting out a lot of submission attempts, gets an elite jiu-jitsu guy, and good body lock trips, heavy ground and pound, good scrambling ability, good rear naked choke. He's also good off his back. We saw him get that triangle choke against Nathan Coy, and he was able to sweep credential jiu-jitsu black belt, hurt him with ground and pound in his last fight. And I think if he gets on top of Pereira, he's going to have a big advantage. I also feel he has the faster hands, a better boxing technique. And you just can't allow Pereira to maintain distance, use those lunging punches and kicks. I think as long as Hot Chocolate Mind just P's and Q's, he has a great chance to win here. But against a guy like Pereira, it's easy to kind of get sucked into what he's doing, maybe I don't know, lose your game plan a little bit, get caught watching him, and then he lands a big shot. But, this guy fights like no one else. He'll moonsault off the cage, Superman punches, backflips, dancing. I mean, there's a lot of kicks, front kicks. flying kicks to the face. I mean, crazy techniques, 360 roundhouse kicks, spinning back kicks. Um, I have seen him crumble to shots that didn't really look like that powerful against the cage, and opponents seem to be able to back him up very easily. He has his hands low at times. He could be low output. Um, he's only been finished once by strikes. He has 9 knockouts, and Pereira seems like I don't know. I don't think he's a very good grappler. Have seen him get a couple double legs control on top against low level opposition, but I feel like if you put him on his back, that could be big issues for him. And I just think Roberts should smash this guy, man. I feel like if he doesn't finish him in the first round via KO or submission, that's a bad night in the office for Danny Roberts. So I think Danny Roberts needs to go in there, similar to his fight with Oliver Edkamp, and make a statement over a guy who, in my opinion, probably won't stick around in the UFC very long term. And up next, Des Green versus Charles Jourdain, and not changing my pick here. I'm very confident that Des Green gets it done. Charles Jourdain to me is a 145er, and he has no takedown defense, man. And that's going to be the tail of the fight. I feel like Des Green is going to come in there with a lot of energy, fighting his hometown. And he's going to go in there. He's going to take down Charles Jourdain at will, man. I think he's going to take him down, control him on top. He's going to be able to move to dominant positions, beat him up. And I think he's going to be the better striker in there as well. He just has to be careful not to get hit with one of those big flying back fist, spinning back fists, one of those big shots by Charles Jourdain and knocked out. But Des Green's never been finished. Charles Jourdain has 9 finishes, and it seems like Des Green really studied Charles Jourdain well. Has really been talking very confidently over this fight week. So going with Des Green in this fight, and I'm actually going to change my pick to a third round finish. I had a decision earlier. I think he's going to go in there and finish off Charles Jourdain. So I'm going with Des Green in that fight. Then up next, we have the most confident pick of the night for me with Aspen Ladd going against Sijara Eubanks. And, I just feel like Aspen Ladd should definitely win this fight. In the last fight, she was the much better striker. I don't think that's changed here. And obviously, Aspen Ladd's the much younger girl. I feel like she's like 23, 24 years old, whereas Sijara's 10 years older, 33, 34. So if you give a girl who's 10 years younger than you, time where they already beat you like 2 or 3 years ago. And now it's 2 or 3 years later, and you're expecting the older woman to have progressed further along in her career to where not only she had to progress along just at the same rate as Aspen Ladd. She had to progress further than Aspen Ladd to be able to come back and defeat her because she already lost. So, to me, man, I mean, I think Aspen Ladd, the younger girl that already has a win, is in the driver's seat to get another win here, man. And I feel like, obviously, she's the one that's used to fighting at 135, used to fighting these bigger girls. And Sijara Eubanks, after she fought Aspen Ladd, decided, hey, maybe I'm not big enough for this weight class. Maybe we have to go down to 125. So, obviously, she didn't like what she felt in there with Aspen Ladd. And I feel like Aspen Ladd has better cardio. I feel like she's more just has better mindset for the game. She's more into fighting. And I feel like she's the one that has a chance to become a future UFC champion, a future contender, and not Sijara Eubanks. So I feel like it's going to be a similar fight to the last one with Aspen Ladd, winning the strike heat. I think she's going to be able to be it just walk her down, throw a combination, keep Sijara on the back foot, and mix in takedowns when she needs them. And Sijara was able to reverse her, take her back. So I feel like if it fight stays on the ground long term, that's Sijara's best chance to maybe catch a submission, catch Aspen Ladd in something funny, sweep her, get to top position, maybe win the fight through that. But Aspen Ladd's getting better with their positioning, with their ground and pound. Obviously, she's finished all her UFC wins via ground and pound, and she's a good fighter. She's someone that's fun to watch as well. And I actually have a bet on Aspen Ladd to win via decision at plus 110, where, I feel like Sijara Eubanks is tough. I don't feel like Aspen Ladd's going to be able to finish a black belt on the ground with ground and pound. Don't know if she has the power to finish her in her hands on the feet. So I think it's very fair that it's probably going to go to decision again with Aspen Ladd getting her hand raised. And if I can get plus odds on that, plus 110 odds on that, her to win via decision, I'm going to take that all day long. So going with Aspen Ladd, have that play on her via decision, and hopefully she can get it done, as the most confident pick of the night. And then next with Austin Hubbard against Davi Ramos. See, a lot of people very confident in Davi Ramos parlaying him up. acting like he's a lock. And I mean, he's looked incredible in his UFC career, and it's very possible if he goes in there and gets a first round knockout, first round submission, and just dusts Austin Hubbard in the first round. But Austin Hubbard is no joke, man. He's the LFA 155-pound champion. Fast jab, nice one too. Very good feints. He's always moving. He leaps into his left hook. He's a mover, and I feel like that movement, that forward pressure, those fakes and feints could give Dami Ramos problems if he freezes him with those fakes. He could also mix in spinning attacks. He has nice spinning back kicks to the body, good spinning back fists. The thing about him though is he can be low output, wait to strike and counter a lot, and stand in front of you. And if he does that, he's heavy on his lead leg also. And if he stands in front of Davi Ramos, there's always that chance that Davi's going to land a big leg kick, those big overhand rights, knock him down, get a submission, or just knock him out. But Hubbard has that path to victory if he could, be more active, finesse Ramos. And Hubbard's actually a pretty decent wrestler, but obviously he's going to be wanting to keep this fight on the feet, deny the takedown attempts. In his last fight, we did see a little bit of controversy there where he got taken out. He got his back taken. Bolter had a fully locked in rear naked choke with 10 seconds to go in the round, and the ref mistook the 10-second clapper for the final bell, jumped in, stopped the round, and who knows if Austin Hubbard would have been able to survive those last 10 seconds. But, the ref saved him there. He was able to come back at the win. But, he needs to be the one going forward here, using his footwork, his reach, stay on the outside. And, just keeping the fight on the outside, winning with the striking. He says that he has a lot of things where he's going to be trying to counter the takedown attempts of Dami Ramos. And he said that he's been practicing that a lot, where he's been practicing like certain things. Like, he didn't really say it, but I'm assuming probably like front knees, uppercuts, things that are going to counter takedown attempts. And Davi Hamas is obviously going to go in there, guns blazing, man. I mean, that guy always comes in trying to get that first round finish, and he's very explosive. He's a beast. He has big power, and yeah, I mean, if he can go in there, implement his game, and knock him down, get a first round submission. Obviously, he's one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world, and I think if he gets on top of Austin Hubbard at any point of the fight, it's most likely over. Especially that first round. I mean, but any point of the fight, it's probably over. And I just rang a lot of praises for Austin Hubbard. I talked about him a lot, but gonna pick Davi Ramos via that first round finish. Um, I think he's going to go there and get a first round KO, TKO, or submission after he drops Hubbard. But if this fight goes long and Hubbard starts to pick it up and Davi Ramos starts to get a little bit tired, don't be surprised if Austin Hubbard pulls off a big upset in this fight. Then up next we have Charles do Bronx Oliveira coming in against Nick Lentz. And this is another fight that I feel like the line is off, where I feel like could be a little bit closer on the money line here. I mean, we did see in that second fight that Nick Lentz took him down and he won the second round, so it was 1-1 going into the third round where Charles Oliveira did get a finish ultimately. But Nick Lentz has improved his striking a lot. He has a lot of confidence training at the Combat Club now. But, Charles Oliveira, my opinion, this fight's going to come down to who's going forward. And if Nick Lentz goes forward, he gives himself a chance to win the fight. Not necessarily that he will win the fight, because I feel like even if he goes forward, Charles Oliveira still probably will win the fight. But if Nick Lentz goes forward, then he has a chance to land some punches as he gets Charles going backwards, land those body locks, control him against the fence. And that's how he's going to win the fight, with this forward pressure striking, control him against the fence, tight waist, circle to the back, mat return him, put him on his back, but stay out of his guard. And Charles Oliveira is going to win the fight, by going forward and pushing Nick Lentz back, tiring him out, landing shots to that body, attacking him to the head, forcing bad takedown attempts, and locking in a choke or a submission, and winning the fight that way. And I actually think that Charles Dubronx in both fights, he has incredible cardio. I mean, that's something about Charles Dubronx, but he does not get tired, and he just can go all day long. And I feel like in round three of this fight, he's going to be much more fresh. So therefore, I did have a half unit play on Oliveira to win in round three. And I actually have a half unit play on Oliveira to win by KO TKO, because I feel like, he dropped Lentz in both fights. It's a plus 650 for him to win by KO TKO and plus 800 for him to win in round three. And, I feel like it is obviously more likely for him to get a submission victory here. But I could very well see him getting a knockout. I could just see it. I think that Charles Dubronx is going to get his first knockout soon. He dropped David Tabor with a nasty elbow. Didn't drop him, hurt him bad with a nasty elbow against the cage. Started swarming on him. It looked like he maybe could have got the finish with a standing finish just if he kept the volume on, but jumped on a front choke. He finished him off, and obviously Oliveira, in my opinion, is always going to be trying to look for that submission when he hurts you. So going for a knockout where Charles Oliveira is a little bit risky. But I mean, if he can finish Nick Lentz with a knockout, I'd be extremely happy, and I think it's a possibility. But I'm going with Charles Oliveira via third round finish in this fight. I just feel like the cardio, once again, is going to rear its head, and Charles Oliveira is going to be able to, in the third round, to pick up the pace, take Nick Lentz out of there. So I'm going with Charles Oliveira, do Bronx, to get another win in this fight. And then up next, we have Vicente Luque, who he was supposed to be taking on Neil Magny, but apparently Neil Magny had some issues with USADA where he popped for USADA, so now it's going to be Derrick Krantz stepping in here. So I'll give you guys a little bit of background on Derrick Krantz. He's finally getting that UFC opportunity. He's had over 30 pro fights, so he definitely is someone that's a veteran here. He's fought some big names, Rich Clemente, Andre Koreshkov, Dustin Poirier, so definitely think he's not going to be intimidated by the moment. And he's a dangerous fighter. He comes in to finish fights. He's not the most athletic guy, but he has power. He's coming off that big knockout win in March and solid jab. He's always looking to land a lead left hook. He really likes to leap into that left hook. He really rarely throws his jab. He doesn't use a ton of setups. He has power in that left hand. He can drop opponents with it. He'll leap into overhand rights, right hooks, and then he'll follow with the left hook. He has a left hook. Right hook combination. He'll throw an uppercut left hook. Good front leg round kicks to the body. He'll throw a rear leg body and head kicks. And he can't get kind of stuck on the outside, though. He struggles to close the distance at times. He doesn't really have a lot of variety in his striking game, but instead he sets things up, trying to leap into shots a lot. And fighters who are more tactical, more athletic, they can definitely, counter, move out of the way of his shots. He has power, though. If he can land a clean bomb on Luque, he could shock the world. He has 9 KO TKOs and he has been KO'd twice. And also, Krantz, he's a solid wrestler, good takedown defense himself. He has trouble on the mat with jiu-jitsu fighters, though. He's been submitted a few times. He likes to use his overheads to get inside, get in double underhooks. He'll drive opponents to the cage where he has a strong double leg, good reactive double legs in space as well. And he likes to take the back, get a rear naked choke. Uh, He's good at locking in front chokes as well when opponents try to stand up. And his takedown defense is strong. He has a good sprawl, heavy hips. He widens his base across near the cage. Hard to take down there. And in grapple heavy fights, so he does tend to get tired. And, against James Nakashima, it was a close fight. He stuffed several takedowns early on, but in the fifth round, he was taken down. And when he does get taken down, his jiu-jitsu is lacking. He allows players to move to dominant positions. He's been submitted 5 times. He does have some 11 submissions of his own, and Krantz needs to go for broke here. He has to go in with that killer be killed mindset and just try to throw bombs and takedown attempts, grind on Luque. If you get top position, grind him against the cage, he won't be at range and in trouble being knocked out. But I feel like at distance, he's really going to struggle. And, I'm going with Luque here big, man, in the first round. I just feel like he's just the much better guy. I feel like, he's going to be cutting off Derrick Krantz, walking him down, and just beating him up, man. I think that his jabs, his straight punches, his overhands, and just his hand speed, his boxing is going to give him big issues. I think that he's going to be able to keep Krantz on the outside of his shots, and Krantz has had less than a week to prepare for this matchup. So I'm going with Vicente Luque via first round knockout here in this fight. Next we have Megan Anderson against Felicia Spencer. And man, I mean Felicia Spencer's been talking a little bit of shit this week. I mean, maybe not shit, but she hasn't been very impressed with Megan Anderson. Saying she doesn't think she's fought good competition, that she's not impressed by her weight cut, she's not impressed by her 6-inch reach advantage or 6-inch height advantage. That she seems very confident that she's gonna go in here and get a. She said she's gonna get a first round finish on Megan. So yeah, she seems very confident, and Megan Anderson seems very confident as well. Megan Anderson is saying things like Felicia's never felt this level of competition, which is true, and she has a much better resume. So we're gonna see what happens. It's obviously a striker versus grappler matchup, and both girls look good at weigh-ins. Megan Anderson did make weight fairly easily, and Anderson is going to be the one walking forward, in my opinion. I think Spencer's going to be the one circling, trying to find her entries for the takedown attempts. And, I feel like that's why Megan Anderson is going to win the fight because I feel like Megan's going to be able to control distance. I feel like Megan's going to be the faster, more athletic girl, and I feel like her presence in there is going to force Spencer to go backwards. And, I think Spencer is not going to be able to get takedowns at range. I feel like she's going to struggle to close that distance and get in the clinch also. And in the clinch, Megan Anderson is very strong. And, Holly Holm, she's a great athlete. She was able to close that distance, get in the clinch. She was able to get it on single legs. And Spencer just, I don't think, has that ability. I don't think Spencer's as good an athlete. Spencer's like a Humpty Dumpty, man. She's a Cat Zagato. She's someone that, could make 135. My opinion, a little bit extra body fat. And I think Megan Anderson is the much better athlete. She's much bigger physically. And she should be able to handle business. So I think Megan Anderson is going to go in there, get a first round KO TKO in this fight, and kind of re announce herself as a big prospect at 145. Up next, you have Carlos Jr., Antonio Carlos Jr. shoot face against Ian Heinisch. And man, a lot of back and forth on this fight as well. Seems like some people are very confident in Antonio Carlos Jr., where they're saying Carlos Jr. should be minus 300, things like that. And then other people like my boy MA Vegas P, he's very confident. Ian Heinisch, he's bet 4 units on him. I have a play on Ian Heinisch. And, this fight is going to come down to whether ACJ is going to be able to continuously get takedowns and control him on the map because I feel like in Heinisch's last fight, obviously, Mutache Ferreira was able to get several takedowns on him. But Mutache Ferreira, man, I mean, that guy's underrated. He has sick double legs. I mean, he has some of the best timing on his double legs in the UFC, in my opinion. I mean, just incredible double legs. And I don't think Antonio Shoeface has those type of takedowns. Obviously, if Shoeface gets in the clinch, man, that's where his takedowns are very nice, Very good trips. He has very good entries. He could kind of, have some funky ways he gets takedowns in the clinch. He could switch up his legs, the way he's positioned his legs, get a dump. And if he can start to get Ian Heinisch to the clinch where he can control him a little bit, move him around over there, then start to get these trip takedowns, that's where he's going to eventually be able to find the back and, get a submission. So I think that Heinisch obviously is going to be wanting to keep this fight standing and then look for takedowns of his own, man. I mean, we've seen in the past that Antonio Carlos Jr. struggled with takedowns. Guys like Dan Kelly, guys like Patrick Cummings broke this guy with takedowns. And, Ian Heinisch, when he gets top position, is vicious, man. He can finish the fight. And, yeah, so I feel like Ian Heinisch is just going to be too much, man. I feel like he has the cardio advantage. I feel like he's the guy that is going to be going forward in this fight, and I feel like he's a better wrestler, so I think he's going to be able to get takedowns when he wants them, stop the takedowns of Antonio Shoeface Jr., and I feel like he's also on the feet, throws harder, and is more explosive close to the distance. Shoeface maybe is a little bit more technical, but I'm going with Ian Heinisch to win in the third round. I think he's going to break Shoeface, get a finish at the KO TKO, and going with Ian Heinisch in that fight. The next you have RDA against Kevin Lee. And not changing my pick here either. I'm actually going with all the same picks, so whatever. But I did pick Derrick Krantz, or gave you guys a breakdown of Derrick Krantz. But with this fight, not gonna really go over it that much because everyone kind of knows about this fight. RDA is gonna be trying to strike. Kevin Lee's gonna be going for the takedowns most likely. And in my opinion, it's just gonna come down to fight IQ for Kevin Lee, man. I mean, Kevin Lee is a guy who's incredible closing the distance. His pressure and his tie-ups against the cage are just one of a kind. He might have the best tie-ups in the game at any division, and he's a great passer. That's something that RDA hasn't really faced. Besides when he fought Khabib, and when he fought Khabib, he couldn't get up off his back. He was really thoroughly dominated against guys like Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington. They don't pass the guard, so it makes it easier for RDA to eventually stand back up to his feet. Kevin Lee's a guy who passes the guard. He'll move to half guard, really rain down big shots. And I feel like if Kevin Lee comes in with the mindset, I'm going to take this guy down, I'm going to beat him up on the ground for 5 rounds, I'm not going to stop, I have the cardio to do this, he's going to win the fight. But if he comes in with that mindset he had in his last fight against Ally Quinta, like I'm going to try to show off my striking, go southpaw, and do all this craziness, not go for many takedowns, then he's probably going to lose the fight. He's probably going to get knocked out by RDA if he does that. So hopefully Kevin Lee comes in here with the right mindset and comes in here, with the idea to do what he knows how to do and do what he can do to win this fight. So if he comes in here going for takedowns and working RDA the way that people know how to beat RDA, he should win the fight. So I'm going with Kevin Lee via via decision in this fight. But not extremely confident. I don't have a play on Kevin Lee at all in this fight. And you know, overall, I think this is a pretty good card. It's a fun card to watch. So tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys have as your final plays. I'll tell you guys my final plays right here, right now. I have a 1 unit play, and for me, 1 unit is $100. People are asking me that, so I do have a 1 unit play on Ian Heinisch. I have a 3 unit play on Trevin Giles to defeat Zach Cummings. I also have a 3.5 unit play on Danny Roberts to defeat Michel Pereira. Um, I have a parlay with Aspen and Vicente Luque inside the distance at with 1.5 units on the line there. Then I also have a parlay with Vicente Luque, Desmond Green, Aspen Julio Arce stuck at the juice there to get to a plus 101 with 3 units on that one. I have the wins by decision that I've told you guys about with 2 units. Oliveira with his TKO at half a unit and in the third round at half a unit, so 1 unit on that total. And I have the 3.5 units on Julio Arce plus 110 and 3.5 units on the fight doesn't go the distance for Michel Pereira for Danny Roberts. So I actually have a lot of bets on this card. Hopefully, I make quite a bit of money. We can cash out, have some fun, um, you know, and use this money towards some different stuff that I want to do. But whatever. I mean, hopefully, we can help the channel with the money as well. And make sure to comment, like, subscribe on this video, guys. Tell me who you guys are picking. And if you want to see the more in-depth breakdown where I go through, all their skill sets, etc., make sure to check the video that I put out with the full card breakdown and predictions video. But once again, thanks for watching, and see you guys in a couple weeks.